Let's talk about your practice manager. Now, is your practice manager helping to actually grow the business, take your business to the next level, or is your practice manager simply saving you time, right? Really focus more on just admin, checking lists, right? Clerical, administrative tasks, or is she truly growing the business? Right? Are they driving the team in the med spa towards growth and profitability? So today I'm really excited to unpack with you the key differences between a growth driven practice manager that multiplies, that is a multiplier for the business, right? For the business owner versus a time saving practice manager, a assistant to the business owner, a lead front desk, right? Who these time saving administrative roles, right? While important, that merely lightens the load for the med spa, for the business owner. But I challenge you to raise your expectations, increase your ceiling, raise the bar, because the right practice manager, a practice manager who is trained, can absolutely not only be a leader in your practice, running the day-to-day operations, motivating your team, holding them accountable, right? But also be a revenue generating position. And when you view a practice manager and you have those expectations of them growing the practice, generating you revenue, sky is the limit for you, right? Not just winning you back time, but actually helping you grow the practice, right? I like to call this a practice manager that is helping with the growth, right? You're number two. If they are more on the time saving skill set of a practice manager, I call them your assistant. But if they truly are helping with the growth of the business, I call that practice manager the number two to the business owner. All right, so let's dive in and talk about what that looks like, right? How you should be raising your expectations in the bar. So let's first break down a time saving practice manager. A time saving practice manager is going to help with scheduling. They are going to help with administrative tasks, right? They might even help a little bit with, let's say, conflict resolution or drama, right? That a practice or a business owner doesn't want to deal with. Now, these things are valuable. Someone's got to do them, right? But it really falls short of really what you should be expecting of your practice manager and really helping to push the business forward, right? You're leaving growth and strategy solely up to the business owner, right? And it shouldn't be that way with the right practice manager. So now let's transition over into what a growth minded practice manager is going to look like, is going to be doing for the business, right? Because it's just not about managing the day-to-day operations. They're going to be involved in strategy, right? They are going to not just handle the day-to-day operations, but strategically align day-to-day operations so that it actually moves the business forward. They are going to be in charge of staff performance, right? And just because a practice manager is not a provider, an injector, an esthetician, or actually fires the laser, does not mean that they can't be responsible for staff performance. Okay. Now, because we're not getting into the didactics of how to do those things, right? That's a whole different separate thing that someone else is responsible for. But staff performance based on KPIs and benchmarks, right? Numbers don't lie. Absolutely, the practice manager should be in charge of. And some might challenge me and say, well, if they're not firing a laser, if they don't know how to inject, if they're not running a medical weight loss program and seeing clients, how are they able to hold your team accountable for meeting those numbers? And what I will tell you is that with the right systems and coaching and motivation and accountability, you do not have to be a provider, fire a laser, to be an injector, any of those things in order to fulfill that role. It's absolutely possible. And we help our clients build systems and training and the mindset in order to be able to do that, right? Because a lot of times the business owner, they're either seeing patients themselves or really staying in the role of being the visionary leader, that they don't have the time or capacity to work one-on-one with your team of providers to make sure that they are holding up their end of the bargain and meeting their numbers, right? A time-saving practice manager may set goals, right? But they don't know what they're doing in the sense of if a person doesn't hit their goal month after month, what do those conversations look like, right? How can I teach and train and hold that provider accountable to do the revenue generating activity that they should be doing in order to meet their goal? What does that look like? How do I hold them accountable, right? How do I train and have those conversations? And a practice manager that's contributing to growth should absolutely be doing those things. In addition to patient experience, right? Of course, results, experience, but really looking at every little thing in the patient journey that impacts results and experience at the end of the day. And constantly looking under the hood and having conversations with the staff and with patients and with the owner, right? Because they should be laser focused, dialed in on what levers need to be adjusted in order to make sure that patients are having that 5-star experience, that they are getting amazing results, right? And when it's not, when there's something left to be said or done, then looking under the hood and making those adjustments, or at least identifying that there is a problem, and then bringing the team, bringing the owner, bringing the providers together and talking about what needs to be adjusted, what needs to be changed, what needs to be added to make sure that we are meeting those expectations, right? So yes, that they are handling the operations and the staff performance, but also patient experience really is something that they should be responsible for bringing the whole company together to make sure that's happening. Another huge thing that a growth practice manager is going to be doing is they got to be data driven, right? They need to know what reports that they should be pulling from their EMR in order for them to inspect, right? What they are wanting to see from their providers, what results they want to see from their providers. And then they need to know how to interpret that data and identify when there is a problem, and then have those conversations with their team members, right? So a level 1 practice manager is going to set the goals, right? But then they're not going to know what to do in the event that the team isn't hitting them. They're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Oh, bummer, right? We didn't hit it, right? But the next level practice manager is going to know how to make sure that the numbers grow, that we help put our team in the best position to succeed, to make sure that they are hitting their numbers, that they are meeting their KPIs and their benchmarks, right? They're just not moving the needle back or being like, bummer, we didn't hit our goal yet again, right? They're also going to have their own responsibilities of revenue generating activities that they know is going to help move the levers in their business, and whether that's working with the front desk, whether that's with reporting, whether that's with marketing, whether that's working with providers, right? Whether that's working with reps, there is a number of revenue generating things, activities that a practice manager can and should be doing to grow the business at the end of the day. Okay. They also need to identify when there's opportunities for expansion, right? So that an example of that is they're monitoring the provider's utilization rate with their schedule, and man, they're darn near at capacity, right? So now that's telling me that we need to hire again so we can continue to grow and scale. Or maybe they've identified that there's too many gaps in a schedule and we're paying a high hourly rate wage to a provider that's not contributing to the growth of the business. And so maybe we need to have a conversation about paring back that provider's hours, because a lot of revenue is going out the door, paying her to sit there and do nothing when she's not willing to, after many, conversations of what revenue generating activity that provider should be doing to grow her book of business, it's not happening, right? So there's different levers that practice manager should be looking at, right? And making adjustments to. Also, have they identified in the market that there needs to be a price adjustment, right? We need to offer a new service. We need to look at upgrading our devices, or, switching companies because consumable prices have changed so drastically, right? There's so many different ways that they can contribute to the growth of your business, and moving away from just being administrative and box checking, right? And being much more forward focusing on growing the business. And of course, always looking at being able to streamline processes, because when you streamline processes, then you're increasing the chance that team members are going to be able to have consistent duplicatable results, right? That's how you're able to not have the A team and the C team. That's how you're able to level up a C player to an A player, when you really have tight processes and systems in place. And you can not only level up team members, but save you time, save you money, right? And so they constantly need to be reviewing those as well. And then also really contributing to marketing efforts. And we see a lot of practice managers that will work with marketing companies or contractors or in-house marketing. And a couple things. One, they wait too long. They don't plan far enough ahead with their marketing efforts. But the biggest opportunity that we see for being more of a growth-minded practice manager when it comes to marketing is actually tracking results and then making adjustments and planning ahead based on the data. What worked? What didn't work? Where can we add to? Where can we optimize and make better, right? They're relying too much off of feeling when it comes to marketing, and they're not utilizing their team to complement and utilize some of the systems in marketing that are free, and just take a little sweat equity and implementation to work. And so because they haven't created systems around their marketing, they're not using all the tools in their tool belt to make their paid advertising or their whatever medium platform that they're on work better. Because we know statistically, with every platform that you add to your marketing mix, that it's going to make your other platforms work sometimes as much as 20% better, right? Because you're surrounding your potential audience, you're hitting them with frequency, you're meeting different learning styles, right? So that's why I'm a huge proponent in our annual marketing planner, where you're taking, one theme, one event, one piece of content, and then you're repurposing it everywhere and using it everywhere, right? So you might be, putting it on social media, or you have a blog post, but you add it to your link tree, you add it to your website, you send it out in an email newsletter, you have an article printed when people check in, right? You have a link to it that you send out in an SMS text marketing. Do you see how different and powerful that is when you use all the tools in your tool belt? versus just, having a marketer, post it on social media and upload it to your website versus adding all those additional channels. And what it takes is a leader really collaborating between your contractors or your in-house marketing or your marketing company that you're working with, and creating systems and accountability and collaboration and communication to make sure all of those levers are being pulled. And the business owner doesn't have time to do that. It's a really important piece. And with the right systems and the right person leading the charge, it's absolutely possible to have a practice manager run your marketing for you and give you a really great return on investment. Because it just takes someone to have attention to detail and organized and making sure that all of the pieces are working collaboratively and not independently. And they do not have to be a marketing expert. They don't have to know how to, upload a blog post to a website, which is helpful, but they don't have to know that. They don't even have to know how to write a post on organic social media or send a text message, right? But they have to be able to put all of those pieces together. So that's just another important example of a growth-minded practice manager that is, really taking your marketing to the next level and helping to not only get new patients in the door, but re-engage past patients to increase the number of visits per year, to increase revenue per hour, right? So working with your team, creating systems, being very data-driven, right, guys? That is what a multi-million-dollar practice manager should be doing in your practice. And with the right training, with the right systems, it's absolutely possible. And, people come to me and they say, well, there's no school to go to be a practice manager for a med spa. It's really hard to find that. And yes, you're absolutely right. Although I like to say that Diamond Accelerator, that we have a school for practice managers, because we teach that, right? In the sense of, if we are working with a client and they're like, man, I have a practice manager who is really smart and they have the soft skill set of being a leader, and they're a self-starter and they're a great communicator. And they're data driven, right? That you can't teach someone, that's just in them, but they don't know the specifics when it comes to the aesthetic industry to apply, standard business systems and how that relates or correlates to aesthetic and wellness. And we absolutely help our clients do just that, because we don't want you to have just a practice manager that's saving you time, right? That is highly focused on just administrative tasks. We want you to have a true number two, a practice manager that is going to help to actually grow the business at the end of the day. All right, guys. So I hope I've given you some food for thought. Hi, Megan. Thanks for joining us. It's great to see you. I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for questions at this time. If anyone wants to put any questions in the chat, I'm open to the floor for questions. And make sure that you guys say hi to some of the other, hey Zaina, the other business owners that are here, and connect and collaborate with them. But I hope I give you some food for thought. First and foremost, raise the bar in your expectations of what your practice manager should do, okay? That is the first and foremost biggest tip that I give owners, is that they first need to stop thinking of their practice manager as just someone that is going to do administrative tasks and save them time, right? You should absolutely raise your expectations and expect them to help to grow the practice. All right, question. What should you do if you're not sure what they should do or how to train them? One, that's exactly what we can help you with and do for our clients. But I first would, and let's say you weren't doing that, you're trying to do that yourself, right? So this is first where you need to understand what's happening in your business and where that biggest opportunity or potential vulnerability in your business that is holding you back. And then you build systems and accountability around that. Oftentimes, the biggest things that we find right away is that there is definitely room for improvement in your sales process, right? And really mapping out that patient journey so your front desk understands their role, so your providers understand their role, so that you are tracking your average revenue per hour, your rebooking rates, and you're not going off of things just based on feel, right? And so you could first start with really mapping that out and then having your practice manager to begin tracking some of those numbers, and then together start working together on how to increase those, right? That is a really great start, because sales or revenue, right, gives you that runway, that mental space, right, that you need to work on some of those other levers in your business that are absolutely important. But 9 times out of 10, patient journey and refining your sales process is one of the biggest needle movers that we help our clients with. And you can't do it off of feel. You got to be data driven with it. So that's an example that if you're doing this yourself, the business owner and the practice manager should work together to do that, right? So you can have them do some of the heavy lifting with data and reporting, while you are being that visionary leader and really looking at patient results and experience, and then providing some tools and guidance around, scripting and checkout process and building comprehensive treatment plans. Okay, another question. What if you have a practice manager that isn't goal driven and just does basic day-to-day tasks with business goals being missed? Would you recommend training or finding another practice manager? Great question. So I often get this question of like, will you just come in and do like an audit or analysis and tell me who I should fire and who I should keep? And I always first go in with the mindset is that we have to look at ourselves as leaders, and first really look under the hood and say, have I done everything possible to set this person up for success? Have I given them the systems, the training, the accountability, the feedback loop in order for them to meet my expectations? And if you haven't, then I first say you got to do that. That is your professional obligation before you fire someone. 2 reasons. One, I think it's the right thing to do. But number 2 is that you don't want to repeat the same mistake by firing her and bringing someone else on and not setting them up for success. So you got to do your due diligence, right? And really set them up for success. And then if they are still, because they're not growth minded, because they're not coachable, meeting your expectations after you've given them everything that they need, then you got to be a leader that is willing to have difficult conversations and willing to make difficult decisions for the best interest of your clients, your team, and your business. Okay. And I know sometimes, right, our employees become like family and their friends. Sometimes, heck, they are family, right? But I always say that you have to be a leader that's willing to do what's best for the majority versus one person or the minority, right? And so in the event you've set them up for success, then yeah, you need to let them go. And then now when you bring this next person in, they are completely set up for success. And you also learned, right, what questions that you need to ask to ensure that they have the mindset, the soft skill set, and that you are in alignment of what's important, what the role looks like, what your core values are that are non-negotiables. All right. Any other questions? Great question. Cool. All right. But just one last thing on that. Would you recommend training or finding someone new? I think that if you do some self-reflection in the sense of, do they have the soft skill sets? And to me, non-negotiables for a practice manager of soft skill sets that you can't teach someone is that they're absolutely growth minded, that you can absolutely trust them, right? That they have your best interests, the team's best interests, the client's best interests, right? Because They are involved with your money, with client results, with your employee, right? So you got to be able to trust them. They got to be a good communicator. They got to be good with numbers. They have to have your back, right? When they are fulfilling the day-to-day operations, they can't be like, oh, well, that's what, the practice owner said. I don't really agree with it, but this is what we have to do, right? They got to have your back. They got to drink the Kool-Aid. They have to believe in your vision. So all of those things that I just talked about, like, is in them or not. And if they have those soft skill sets, I believe that they are coachable and trainable when working with experienced, experts and giving them the right systems and training. But if they don't, there's nothing even the best training and systems can do for an employee that doesn't share that skill set or share those same core values that you have. All right, guys. So make sure that if you're going to have a practice manager, if you're going to give the title of practice manager, make sure that they deserve that title. Otherwise, to me, they're just an assistant, right? They're a lead front desk, maybe, but certainly they're an admin, right? They're an office manager. But to be a practice manager, they need to be contributing to the growth of the business, not just saving you time. So number one, increase your expectations, increase your ceiling of what's possible with a practice manager, because they should absolutely be contributing to the growth of your business. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I am, as you can see, so passionate about having a practice manager that contributes to the growth of your business. Because let's face it, guys, it takes a village to be a multi-million-dollar med spa. It's gonna take a village to be a multi-million-dollar med spa and a badass woman that wants to live the biggest and best life ever, right? Have the family, have the fun, have the travel and the vacation and the team and the culture of their dreams. It takes a village. And to be able to achieve that, you need to have a practice manager that's going to help you to grow that practice. You need to have a practice manager that you trust implicitly with your business, that is going to fulfill not only the day-to-day operation, but the vision that you've set forth for yourself and for your business and for your team. So keep that in mind. All right, guys, if you loved this training, make sure that you share it with your team or another med spa that could benefit. And you can always catch the replay. We're going to be sending it out tomorrow, or catch it on our YouTube channel. Visit our link tree, because there are a ton of free trainings on there that will help grow your med spa. Catch us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Have an awesome day, guys. Thanks so much. Bye.